So in this video, I just want to talk a little bit about how you could use a calculator to approximate an inverse trig value. So the first thing is that your calculator has buttons for inverse cosine, inverse sine, and inverse tangent. So those exist. So for example, if we were asked to say find the inverse cosine of negative 0.37, B, the inverse tangent of 0.66, or C, the inverse sine of negative 1.21. Okay, so it is just a matter of putting it into your calculator, but you want to be a little careful. You want to double check that your answers turn out to be the same as my answers, and that's because you want to make sure that your calculator is in radians. So when we're doing these problems, we're going to put our calculator in radians. Unless it specifically asked us for degrees, we're going to assume it's radians. So if I type into my calculator that inverse cosine, hit that inverse cosine button, and then I put in negative 0.37, this would end up being equal to 1.949 ... And so if we were rounding to the nearest tenth, which is usually or to the nearest, if we were rounding to the nearest hundredth, in this case, it would be 1.95. If I type in the inverse tangent, we get 0.583 ... And again, if I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth, then this is going to become 0.58. And then my last one. So if you try to type this into your calculator, the calculator is going to yell at you. It's actually going to say undefined. And what that means is if I look at it, it's saying that this argument here is you cannot find the inverse trig function of it. And that makes sense because remember we said the generic old sine function is always between 1 and negative 1. So it's never going to get up to negative 1.21. If you punch in your calculator and it's not able to come up, it's going to tell you it's defined or give you an error message. Depends on your calculator what it does. And so in this one for part C, there is no solution. Or I should really be careful. We're not solving something, so I should, rather than no solution. So a lot of times I throw around no solution or undefined interchangeably, but we should be a little careful about this. So this problem is undefined.